It's Friday, April 22. In the headlines, Omicron BA2 variant is in Jamaica. Tourism officials on a mega marketing campaign across the world. Regionally, Barbados returns to a blended approach for the upcoming school term. And in sports, Pollard's Mumbai flops as Bravo's CSK win the match in the IPL. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Simone Absalom Gale. Arrival figures are indicating that this winter season, closing at the end of April, is going to see more than a 70% recovery rate in tourism for Jamaica. Our reporter Gabriel Thompson says that's the word from Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett.
The minister says Jamaica is looking at just under 1 million visitors and earnings of about $1.5 billion.
But that's not enough, because I have to tell you a little more. Summer is now tending, and the bookings for summer is looking better than 2019. That is pre-COVID. We are looking better than pre-COVID for summer.
Mr. Bartlett was addressing Wednesday's groundbreaking ceremony for Rio's 7th hotel in Jamaica. This will be a 753-room resort to build on the rate at which Jamaica's tourism industry is recovering from the devastating COVID-19 fallout. The tourism minister and the team is leaving the island today, Friday, April 22, to start a mega marketing campaign across the world.
We begin with the UK on this weekend, mixing up with Jamaica's 60 celebrations, but it's marketing. And then we leave for New York to do the northeastern seaboard. That's the little the sugar part of our market. The northeastern seaboard, New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and, all the way to Boston. And then we leave from there and we hit the new market of the Middle East. We're meeting with all the mega airlines. We're meeting with Emirates. We're meeting with Etihad. We're meeting with Qatar. We're meeting with Saudi. And we're going over to Riyadh as well to meet with KGAG, which is their big aviation company. They want to open 225 new gateways, and we want Jamaica to be in that.
Itinerary also includes a meeting with representatives of Royal Jordanian Airlines, as a plan is being rolled out to establish Jamaica as the hub for the Middle Eastern market in the Caribbean and the Americas. With breaks in between, the marketing tour will also go on to Africa, Canada, Europe, and Latin America at the end of the Global Marketing Blitz in October.
As of today, April 22, Retirement Road in Crossroads, St. Andrew is to be closed for 3 months. The National Works Agency, NWA, says it will be closed at its intersection with Halfway Tree Road. NWA Communication and Customer Services Manager Stephen Shaw says the road is being shut to facilitate drainage improvement works at a cost of $8 million, while the road will be closed to vehicular traffic for the construction of a box culvert. The Omicron BA2 variant of COVID-19 is now confirmed to be in Jamaica. The Ministry of Health and Wellness says in a statement on Wednesday that the latest gene sequencing results from the National Influenza Center at the University Hospital of the West Indies found that 2 samples tested positive for the newer BA2 variant. 89 samples were tested between January 1 and March 4, which 98.9% of them were Omicron variants and 1.1% was the Delta variant. Of the Omicron samples, 2 of the 88, or 2.3%, were the BA2 variant and 97.7% were BA1 variants. According to the World Health Organization, the BA2 variant is the dominant strain globally, with the type of illness associated with this variant being similar to the BA1. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Mackenzie is cautioning that while the majority of cases appeared to be mild, this is a highly transmissible variant which may result in an increase in the number of quoted 19 cases. This puts persons with comorbidities at greater risk of contracting the virus and developing severe illness, while persons who have mild or no symptoms may be at risk of developing the long COVID. Dr. Mackenzie is urging members of the public to continue practicing infection prevention and control measures, including the wearing of masks, hand washing, physical distancing, and staying home if you are sick. Persons are also encouraged to visit any of the 200 vaccination centers across the island to give themselves greater protection from the worst effects of COVID-19. The Transport Authority will be revising the requirements for the licensing of public passenger vehicles. This, according to Minister of Transport and Mining, Audley Shaw. Mr. Shaw said the change is to ensure better screening and assessment of driving capabilities, adding that he has started discussions with the Transport Authority and the Island Traffic Authority to see this through. He was delivering the keynote address at the recent 5th anniversary celebrations of 876 on-the-go taxi service held at the University of Technology in St. Andrew. The minister informed that the Road Safety Unit in the ministry is conducting sessions in schools to encourage a culture of good driving practice. CXC says in a statement released this week that an adjustment to the schedule will destabilize the regional consensus. As a result, the tests will go ahead as previously indicated in CXC's timetables. The CXC says that its Caribbean Advanced Proficiency Examinations, CAPE, scheduled for May 2 to June 10, will proceed, and students will sit the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC, from May 2 to June 3. The Caribbean Certificate of Secondary Level Competence from June 6 to June 9. And the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment will take place May 12 to May 13. The revolving fund of the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, has delivered more than 141 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines. The deliveries were made in partnership with the COVAX facility and with the supply of donors. Director Dr. Carissa Etienne stresses that while there isn't a sufficient amount of supplies of COVID-19 vaccines to meet demand everywhere in the Americas, some countries and territories continue to lag behind.
We have learned that supply is just the first step. And that's why PAHO is working closely with countries to also provide technical assistance, planning, and communication support to fill the remaining gaps. COVID-19 vaccines work, and they are very safe. They are protecting most people in our region from the worst consequences of COVID-19 infection. We need to extend this benefit to everyone in the Americas.
Dr. Etienne is urging countries in the Americas to integrate their COVID-19 vaccination efforts into routine immunization campaigns.
When we first rolled out COVID-19 vaccines, countries set up emergency systems to get these life-saving shots into arms as quickly as possible. And now we can leverage this infrastructure and merge it with our routine immunization systems to make it more convenient and accessible for families to catch up on all their shots at once. This month, for example, PAHO's revolving fund has delivered some 15 million doses of influenza vaccine to 9 countries of the region that continue to strengthen their vaccination efforts.
Time now for the Business Report with Danita Rodney.
Financial literacy. According to the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica, ICAJ, Alison Peart, that was just one of the key factors that will help to bolster the economic environment for the Caribbean. She was speaking during a conversation with the Minister of International Trade, Export Promotion, Small Business and Economic Development, Mary Ng, last Thursday.
Part of the issue is financial literacy. It makes no sense to have money if you don't know how to manage it. So when we speak about growing, and I know we have amazing people listening in to invest, our access to capital is an issue. If it's too expensive, and if we don't know how to manage it, it's an issue.
She also spoke of improving our infrastructures and our technology.
We also need to do better with our infrastructure. Energy costs are really high. We look at our roads, we can do better. Water, land of wood and water, that's our name. But some of our parts of Jamaica don't get water. We're talking about shutting off water in some parts of the Caribbean. Some of our islands, like Barbados, does amazing with solar. We need to do better in other areas. The other issue that we need to make sure is technology. You spoke about digital. We tend to look in the past instead of looking future. As a small business person, it makes no sense to tell you what I used to do. What I need to tell you is what I'm going to do. And if I don't have the skill set to pivot, because universities, I sit on the board of Mona School of Business, and I torment them. Why? We need to be relevant. And you may not be able to teach everything now, because when I went to university or when I went to high school in Jamaica, there was no internet. We need to be thinking future and forward. This university helped to develop a new breed of cows that you only found in Jamaica. This university helped to pioneer what caused dengue. We need, as small business people, as universities, to partner on technology, on scientific research and development.
Peart stressed that Jamaica is open for business and that we need more Canadian investments.
Jamaica is open for business. We need more Canadian investment. And what would you want to invest in? Healthcare. COVID pointed out, if you're not healthy, you can't be alive to be in a job. COVID targeted obesity, diabetes. You heard about the comorbidities. We need to improve our healthcare, because if you don't have people who are healthy, it doesn't matter how much you give them financial literacy, they're not available to you.
In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, April 21, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.53. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $127.08. The pound sterling traded for $204.26, and the euro sold for an average of $169.84. The following reflects the movement of the JSE indices in Thursday's trading session. The JSE index advanced by 6,575 points to close at over 300,000 units. The junior market index advanced by 35 points to close at over 4,000 units. The combined market index advanced by 6,472 points to close at over 400,000 units. And the All Jamaican Composite Index advanced by 7,875 points to close at over 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 109 stocks, of which 40 advanced, 47 declined, and 22 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Birch Paints Jamaica Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and Cargo Handlers Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited. Trading firm were 1834 Investments Limited, Barisa Investments Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% cumulative redeemable preferred shares. Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares was the volume leader with over 2.6 million units, followed by JMMB Group Limited 7.50% and Trans Jamaican Highway Limited with over 2 million units. In regional stocks in Trinidad and Tobago, Clico Investment Fund was the sole security trading over 65,000 shares. The Barbados Stock Exchange saw Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund as the volume leader with over 2,000 shares. They were followed by West India Biscuit Company Limited, which traded 320 shares. With the possibility of further oil finds offshore Guyana, the government is pondering the establishment of a national oil company to manage oil resources if new exploration areas are not auctioned off to new investors. More from Newsroom Guyana.
Now, there are many unallocated areas and in Guyana, and we've been swamped by interest for the allocation of these unallocated areas. We've decided now, the government, that we want to either auction these resources, or, which we are exploring now, whether we can vest them in an oil company, national oil company, but play a very passive role as a passive investor and get a strategic developer to work within that company to take shares and to operate the company.
That was Vice President Dr. Barbados Jagdeo speaking during a Bloomberg summit on Tuesday. Then the Vice President spoke about Guyana's plans to develop its nascent oil industry, with the government now determining whether it will sell remaining oil blocks to the highest bidder or whether it will establish a national oil company to manage the resources. As the government mulls whether it will establish this, the Vice President said that there are other factors to consider, one being allowing ExxonMobil to bid for other blocks given concerns raised about the company's large presence in Guyana. Exxon has secured production licenses for 4 development fields and is seeking approval for a 5th project. As the government decides on the future of Guyana's nascent oil industry, Dr. Jagdeo also knocked concerns about Guyana's seemingly conflicting pursuits, that is, oil and gas production alongside low-carbon development.
So for the conceivable future, once there is a demand for fossil fuel, we want to be part of that energy mix. We want to be part of that supply. And if anyone should be part of that supply, it should be countries in Africa, small countries like Guyana and Suriname, because our per capita GDP is now $9,000. With a struggle, we got it there. In the United States, it's over 70,000. We more need these resources than anyone else to transform our economies. So we don't believe we're betraying a net zero goal if we develop these resources.
Particularly for Guyana, the Vice President said that the need to upgrade healthcare, education, and the country's infrastructure exists alongside the country's need to build out systems to protect against extreme climate events like worsening floods. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Vishani Raghavar.
In market data for oil has slipped, burdened by the prospect of weaker global growth, higher interest rates, and COVID-19 lockdowns in China. Brent crude was down $1.32 or 1.2% at $107.01 a barrel, and West Texas Intermediate crude declined $1.44 or 1.4% to $102.35 a barrel. And that was the business report inside the news on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney.
In regional news, in Barbados, a blended approach for students and teachers will be utilized once more when the 3rd school term officially starts next Monday. Classes will end at 2 p.m. and many of the protocols implemented last term will remain. Education Minister Kay McConney made the disclosure during a nationally televised media conference.
On Monday, April 25th, Term 3 officially starts. Teachers go in on the first day. Students go in on the Tuesday, the next day, the 26th of April.
The Education Minister wants to see the vaccination rate for eligible students increase beyond the current 50.7%. She explains that a mobile vaccination program will be rolled out to achieve this.
The Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, along with the Ministry of Health and Wellness, we are collaborating to make sure we can deploy a vaccination bus that will then be going to schools to assist us in raising the level of vaccination. I want to encourage you, parents. I want to encourage you that when you see the link come to your mailboxes, please click on the link and sign your child up for vaccinations. This is important that you do this, not just to get them vaccinated, but also in indicating your consent. You allow us to plan.
As part of efforts to improve the healthcare services offered to residents of Region 9, President Dr. Irfan Ali has announced that more than $150 million will be spent to upgrade health centers across the region. Newsroom Guyana has the details.
We're investing this year more than $150 million on the improvement of health centers all across this region so that you can have better access to healthcare services. We have trained 61 community health officers, and we have also help with food security.
That was President Dr. Irvin Ali engaging residents of Yupakari and other surrounding villages on Saturday during a visit to Region 9. The president spoke about his government's plans to reduce the disparities between hinterland and coastal communities by making services and opportunities more readily available. But to do so, he said that much more work, backed by greater investments, is needed.
We are rebuilding the infrastructure in this entire region. This year, we'll spend $3.7 billion on roads and hinterland roads and bridges, opening up new communities, new farmlands, making it easier for you. From Kurubakari to Letem, we're going to build 32 new bridges.
Minister of Housing and Water Colin Crowell at that meeting also told residents that the government intends on restarting the Hinterland Housing Program. Reporting for the newsroom, I am Fishani Ragabir.
Trinidad and Tobago is reporting a significant drop in drug-related matters before the criminal courts since the decriminalization of marijuana. Acting Attorney General Faris Alwari gave statistics as he led a motion to adopt the report of the Joint Select Committee on the Cannabis Control Bill 2020 in the lower house on Wednesday.
There has been a 78% drop in the average number of drug-related matters filed annually at the magistracy, from 6,600 odd to 1,400 odd. A drop in a monthly total of 551 matters to 114 matters.
Staying with the Twin Island Republic, the government is looking to relax more of the public health measures. TTT Live has the details.
Government will soon make an announcement with regards to the cruise ship industry and whether unvaccinated non-nationals will be able to enter the country. This according to Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley, who says it was discussed at the cabinet level.
Take some action on the cruise ship side, which is one of the areas which still exist there. We're going to take some action on the travel side in general. And the main action we took was the reduction in the intensity of testing. The PCR test is no longer a requirement.
Meanwhile, Dr. Rowley is insisting that the wearing of masks will remain a mandatory requirement at this time.
We have been through a lot. It has cost us a lot. And we would hate to end up in a situation where we have economic disruption as the solution to the COVID situation in our country. Against that background, we are saying that the science, the medical advice, is that we continue to wear the mask because it reduces, if not eliminates, our individual exposure.
An Intelligence, Resilience and Sustainability Trust has been set up to assist developing countries in their recovery from economic, environmental and social shocks. That's according to the Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, who made the disclosure during the IMF Spring Meetings debate on the global economy. She says $40 billion has already been allocated to the Global Fund, which will provide concessional financing to those valuable nations.
Mia, I have a piece of really good news for you. You have been championing the allocation of concessional finance, not only on income per capita, but also on vulnerability to climate shocks. And today, at the discussions we had, the Resilience and Sustainability Trust, which will provide long-term maturity, finally financing to vulnerable middle countries, got a big boost. We signed up already $40 billion for it.
Meanwhile, in her contribution to the debate, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, renewed her call for the Bretton Woods Institution to engage in greater reforms that address the economic injustices small states face.
The reality is that with a high debt framework, as most of our developing countries have, as small island developing states, not because of profligacy, not because of corruption, but largely because of having to take on our balance sheets the consequences of the actions of others, we feel that the time has now come for us to make some decisions to change it. And Kristalina, you're absolutely correct about the Resilience and Sustainability Trust, and we thank you for it. And in fact, it's a right step in the right direction. It's the only step thus far that acknowledges vulnerability, but we need the World Bank and the development banks to go further with us.
She adds global inflation, coupled with an increase in debt, will hamper economic recovery and government's ability to cushion the blow to the average consumer's pocket, and that will prove challenging.
Now, we have to think outside of the box because it's becoming increasingly difficult even for us to shield our populations with the limited fiscal space that we have against the fact that the cost of debt is likely to increase because of the monetary conditions tightening, and because of the fact that we just simply are not seeing the rate of economic recovery as quickly as we need to. Now, we're confident that tourism recovery usually can come back and bounce back quicker than most, but what is happening with the increased fuel costs will affect the cost of flights.
In sports, one day after announcing his retirement from international cricket, Pollard was on the losing side as his Mumbai Indians team lost to the Chennai Super Kings in the Indian Premier League to remain winless this season. Mahendra Singh Dhoni's late flourish helped CSK defeat Mumbai by 3 wickets. CSK chased down the target 156 in the final ball after Mumbai posted 155 for 7. Before we go, let's check in with our entertainment reporter Alicia in the entertainment studio. Hey Alicia, what's up?
Hey Simone, wagwan girlie. On this week's entertainment recap, you know I found some banging new music for our audience, right? But did you hear that Shensia gifted Ramisha a piece of land? Girl, I will be sharing the deets. We have our usual birthday shout-outs, Coffee's major performance at Coachella, and Rihanna +1. Bet you want to know what I'm talking about. So, join us this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. on PBC Jamaica for Entertainment Recap.
Thanks, Alicia. And with that, we call an end to today's newscast. On behalf of our entire news production team, thank you so much for making it PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.